So I've got a couple mixes to knock out this evening, and I'm starting the first one again by my guy Charlie Wheeler. Um, I believe I did a mix for him in the last vlog or the vlog before, but yeah, two mixes to knock out, starting the first one, and then I've got to mix a record for Blake also this evening. So gonna be a busy evening. Plus I gotta edit and upload this vlog. So let's get it. All right, so I want to start something new. I know you guys really like when I throw in the mix tutorials into the vlogs, so why not do a mix tip Monday? So in every vlog that drops on Monday, I'm going to include a mix tip because I don't want to go too many vlogs in a row without, giving you guys tutorials. I like to talk business sometimes. I like to just show you guys day in the life sometimes. And I know you guys really like the mix tips as well. So Mix Tip Mondays is now official. So for today, what I want to show you guys is something I get asked about all the time. And that's, creating some sort of ambience around the vocal. Do I use reverb on hip hop vocals? What type of delays am I using on a verse versus a chorus? And how does rap vocals, how do they differ from like a singing vocal? So I'm going to show you guys how I process both as far as, what type of, how am I doing reverbs? How am I doing delays? Am I putting them directly on the track or am I routing it to a bus and things like that? So I'm going to start with the verse vocal, which is a hip hop vocal, and I'll show you guys what I did as far as effects wise.
Mardi Gras, let me hit him with the step back. Retro MJ when I rap there. If you got the money, show me where your bets at. Charlie.
All right, so you can hear that it's definitely got a lot of reverb on it, got a good amount of delay on it. And how I did that and what I do a lot is I kind of go back and forth, or I really just, it depends on the record, but sometimes I'll use reverb on hip hop vocals. Sometimes I'll leave them completely dry. It kind of depends on the record, but for this, the artist is really wanting a Schoolboy Q type feel, mixed by Ali type of mix. Vocals are more wet as far as reverb, delay, and he just wanted that sense of space to his vocal. So what I have going on is I have this lead track here routed to the plate first of all. So the plate, that was originally whenever I created this aux, I had a plate reverb up here. I'm actually using a Hall, Lexicon Hall reverb by Slate Digital. So you can ignore the name plate. But anyways, I'm sending the vocal to this aux track, and I have this the send knob down -22 dB. So I just kind of blend this in enough to the point where I'm getting the sound that I want. And with this, I actually just used a preset, and I messed with the pre-delay until the timing of the reverb felt right. So I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to mute the other two effects I have going on, and I'm just going to bring down the reverb and show you guys how I blend it in.
Mardi Gras, let me hit him with the step back. Retro MJ when I rap there. If you got the money, show me where your bets at. Charlie Wills got the baddest bitch. Mardi Gras, let me hit him with the step back. Retro MJ when I rap there. If you got the money, show me where your bets at. Charlie Wills got the baddest.
So yeah, I just play with the fader until it's at a point where I personally like how it sounds. If the artist wants more reverb, he'll tell me and I'll adjust it. And then the pre-delay just means after the signal hits the reverb, how long before the reverb kicks in. So you can actually time it to the beat of the music, almost like a delay or something. So I have it 25 milliseconds after the vocal. I wouldn't say it's necessarily mathematically in time with the tempo, but it feels right to me. So that's where I chose to leave it. After that, if you guys have been following my channel for a while, you know that I like to use the Roland Dimension D plugin from UAD, and it's basically just a like a phaser chorus type effect. I feel like it adds a little bit of dimension, I guess, hence the name. But I use just a real subtle amount of this. I'll boost it so you guys can see exactly what this plugin does.
Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras. Let me hit him with the step back. Retro MJ when I rap there. If you got the money, show me where your bets at.
So yeah, again, just a chorus, flangey, phaser type effect. That when you use a real subtle amount, it kind of makes the vocal feel a little bit more 3D. So I really like that. And then lastly, for the verse, I'm using just an 1/8 note delay, and not always, but a lot of times I like to use Echo Boy. The style, I chose to use the telephone effect just because he's got a really deep vocal, and I didn't want the I didn't want the delay to muddy up the track anymore at all. So the telephone effect really gets rid of that low end and the delay. So I chose to use that, and it sounded good. So that's how I use effects on a verse typically. Now I'll show you what I did on the chorus.
Polo strap to the back when I put my feet up out the door. I keep that pin 33 on my back, you already know. I got the heat, so if you
I'm using the same reverb, just using a little bit more. I wanted the hook to feel a little bit bigger, and obviously once the hook comes in, I want it to feel separate from the verse. So a little bit more reverb. Sometimes I'll even use a separate reverb for the chorus. But with this, I like the way it sounded. The same dimension D, right around the same amount as well. So here's where it's different. I chose to use Echo Boy. And I know it says 16th note, disregard the name. I chose to use this delay as almost like a doubler effect, just to make the vocal feel a little bit more wide. So on the left side, the delay is about 77 milliseconds. On the right, it's about 121 milliseconds. So I'm going to play this and boost that so you guys can hear exactly what it's doing. It's almost like just a slap back delay. And just kind of makes the vocal a little bit more wide. It gives it a little bit more of its own space.
Polo strap to the back when I put my feet up out the door. I keep that pin 33 on my back, you already know. I got the heat,
so I use a real subtle amount of that to the point where you can't even really hear it, but if I was to take it out, you would notice that it was gone. So that's something that I use a lot on vocals, R&B or any type of singing type of vocal, or just hooks. If I want the hook to kind of lift or have its own dimension, that's a trick that I'll use. And then lastly, I've got a 1/4 note delay, just trailing the vocal.
Polo strap to the back when I put my feet up down. I keep that pin 33 on my back, you already know. I got the heat, so if you need it, hit my phone.
And a lot of times during a chorus, I'll have the echo up a little louder than what I would in the verse. I want it to be audible. I want it to be something that stands out. Not everyone doesn't do that. That's just something that I like. So you'll typically hear that in my mixes. So yeah, that's what I did as far as effects go on the verse and on the chorus of this particular song. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the vlog.